This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. Competed in nearly 700 PGA Tour events, 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. It's time to tee it up. News from the world of golf. We're on the range with Jay and Dan.
Welcome into Golf with Jay Delsing. Every Sunday heard on 101 ESPN. We come to you 8 to 10 every Sunday. And with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Great guest coming up. Two-time U.S. Open champion Andy North, a part of the PGA Tour coverage on ESPN, and a very good friend of Jay. So looking forward to visiting with one of the all-time great U.S. Open players in the history of the game, and that's Andy North. Good morning, Jay.
Danny, good morning. Great to be with you. And when I think of Andy North, I think a hard-nosed, tough competitor to win. He wins 3 tournaments in his career, and 2 of them are the National Open. Really?
Pretty amazing.
It's just awesome. Andy North treated me so well, took me under his wing. He's a big, tall guy like I was and helped me. I'll never forget one time. He's really good friends with Tom Watson. So I got to play with Tom Watson. I'm nervous as all hell. And we're working on some of our chipping stuff. And Tom goes, let me help down there and show you something, Jay. He goes, you got to chip these with your knee. Well, use your knees. And I'm like, I don't get that.
So what did he mean?
He wanted you to like use your knees as a little rocking motion back and forth. But he didn't explain it very well. And maybe I was just too nervous. I don't know if I didn't get it. I didn't get it. So, but that Tom Watson was so underrated with his wedge around the green, and so was Andy North. Man, they were awesome, and I followed them like a little puppy dog around while we were playing a practice round, and it was a blast.
One of the things I want to ask him is that winning the U.S. Open, did it mean more to win our national championship as opposed to the Masters, the British Open, the PGA? Curtis Strain said it did to him, 2-time U.S. Open champion. I'll be interested to hear what Andy North has to say about that, too.
Absolutely. And Andy's a patriot. He's a Midwestern guy. I mean, he's the perfect guy to have on this week as we go to, the PGA Tours down at the John Deere Classic, the stop down there. So Andy played in that event a lot. Yeah, he's salt of the earth, Danny. He's just a really good guy.
And I love his calm demeanor on TV.
Yeah.
He's more of a guy that is not going to rip the players, but it's going to be more of an explanation as to why. Give me the how. Give me the why. Take me inside the mind of a PGA Tour player. I couldn't do it. I'm not one of them. You are. You have an understanding of what's going on. He does as well. You guys explain that stuff so well.
Oh, well, thank you. I love listening to Andy North. I agree with you. He's so comfortable and so relaxed in the way that he explains it. And, when you have a guy able to be that descriptive, and he's also won the U.S. Open twice, that's a big deal.
It is. It really is. All right, you mentioned it. John Deere Classic wrapping up today. Tell me about the John Deere. You played this a bunch. Oh, man,
I played 26 years in a row when I was playing, and this place was like a home week for me. This one it's the Quad Cities, which is 4 cities, 2 in Iowa, 2 in Illinois. You got Rock Island and Moline, Illinois, and then you got Davenport and Bettendorf, Iowa. They're right there on the rivers are there. I think it's the Rock Island, the Rock Island River. Anyway, the rivers roll through there. I don't know what they are, but
there's
there.
Some bodies of water.
There's some bodies of water there. But the thing that the bestie about this event is it's community. It's community. When I think of them, I'm like, John Deere is an unbelievable supporter of the PGA Tour. They're the longest running sponsorship. That relationship is the longest running sponsorship on the PGA Tour. They're unbelievable. The community turns out. This place is in the middle of the country. There's nothing out there, D. Cornfields everywhere, and John Deere puts on a phenomenal party. The community gets involved. They show up. There's thousands of people at the TPC deer run. What else is cool is this golf course was designed on a deer property. So this property was part of the company. They've always had a presence in the Quad City area. They're fantastic. They got pork chop sandwiches, Danny, die for. They are phenomenal.
Surprising you went with the food instead of the golf here.
I think my dad must have had, I think one time my dad had probably like 4 in one day. He was like, these things are good. I'm like, I got to play, Dad. I don't want to get all that grease on my hands right now, but go ahead and save me one for when I finish.
Sure.
Yeah, so it was really super fun. Danny, one time I had some, before we used to play at a place called Oakwood Country Club before they designed the course at Deer Run. D.A. Weibring, a fellow tour player, a really good guy from Quincy, Illinois, was the designer around the TPC or Deer Run. And I was paired in the last group with him and a kid named Jonathan Kay. D.A. had about a 3-stroke lead on me, and Jonathan Kay had, I think he was 2 ahead of me, and I was in 3rd by myself. But, Danny, there was a concert in St. Louis Saturday night. So I flew, this was TWA. I jumped on a TWA flight after my round on Saturday.
So you're real focused about this final round.
So this is the way I loved playing the tour. Flew into St. Louis Saturday night, got to sleep in my own bed, went out with my friends, saw this great show. It was REM. It was down at, I don't know where it was. It was just a phenomenal concert. I get up in the morning. I get on an early flight back to John Deere. I have lunch. I get a workout in, and I want to finish in solo 3rd. And it was super fun and cool.
Hold on. Weren't you concerned at all about cancellations, bad weather, anything? I mean, can you imagine for you not showing up in the final round when you have a chance to win this tournament?
I'd have drove.
Okay.
Because it's only 4 hours.
That's legitimate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was checking the weather. If the weather was terrible, then, because then you get rain delays and stuff. But it just went off like clockwork.
So what's this course like? If I'm watching today, which I will be, what from your perspective?
You're not watching?
Well, I've been watching all weekend. Yeah. So is you evaluate?
By the way, when I go over to your house, I don't know how many TVs you have.
3.
They're all
3. All 3 are on golf.
Always.
So you might have the PGA Tour going on one.
Yep.
You could have the seniors going on another.
Yeah, and the DP World, or there's always something. It's a lot. You guys, it's fun.
It's golf nonstop.
Yeah, Danny, this golf course is all about birdies. Low scores. The weather is super warm. The greens are soft and well-watered, and so look out. That's when tour players drive. Now, this golf course is not overly demanding. The fairways are generous. The greens are soft, and the speed of the greens are not fast. So this is not one of those weeks. It is going to be, you get out. Steve Stricker's won this event I don't know how many times, and so has Zach Johnson. And these guys' record at the Deer Classic, it's unbelievable. So you got to get out. You got to start making birdies and keep your foot on the gas.
I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of Steve Stricker, but at the U.S. Senior, he was working on his short game, and then he started working on his putting.
Yeah.
So he's on the putting green, and one of the reporters saw him, and they noticed that he went to a different putter. He had been with the same putter for literally decades, and all of a sudden went to a different putter.
Yep.
It's not uncommon for guys to change equipment, is it?
Oh, man.
Even a putter.
Right. And a putter is such a real personal thing. Like once you have that kind of success that Strick had, you obviously know he's looking for something, looking for a new feel, looking for a new look. And he went to a mallet-headed putter, Danny, similar to what Scotty Scheffler did, and saw his fortunes change. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I actually did the same thing about 2 months ago. So I got rid of my blade putter and went to the exact same putter. I made a slight variation in the neck that Scotty Scheffler's using, and I'm putting with the Spider, and Strick went with this Odyssey version of the Spider. It's very similar. It's actually, I think it's a putter you're using right now.
It is.
It's exactly.
That's why I was doing a little research.
It's got those little wings on it.
It does.
Yeah, it's cool.
How come it doesn't work for me and it works for him?
Yeah, well, there's this talent thing that rolls in there.
That's a shot to the gut.
That stings a little, doesn't it?
It does sting a little bit.
Well, when you're talking about Steve Stricker, I mean, he's been one of the best putters of the PGA Tour for a long time. So I'd like to putt like he does too. But he's just looking for something, a new look. He's looking for just a different feel. And he had a good tournament at the Senior Open, didn't win, which I'm sure he's disappointed at. But, Father Time's undefeated, man, and it's marching on.
You got to be athletic to putt.
100%.
I mean, there's athleticism that goes into putting.
No doubt. I mean, you got to get out of your conscious brain and quit thinking. I mean, and that's when I see people that are struggling the most with their putting, it's usually because, Danny, they are thinking way too much about this. They're thinking about how instead of where. And you've got to just, once you get plugged in, you got to think about, like I asked Tiger and he said, Dad always told me, roll the ball to the picture. So I see how it's going to roll. Just roll it towards there. Jack Nicklaus said, and we're talking about two of the best putters of all time here, Jack and Tiger, made more significant putts, Danny, these two, than anyone. And Jack said, I just waited till I knew what I wanted to see, and once I saw it, I went.
Amazing.
And they had two entirely different styles, so you're not tied into any certain specific way. I think it's more of a mentality, Danny. It's an aggressive, try to hold every single putt and try to get as relaxed and soft with your hands, your wrists, your arms as you can.
I wanted to ask you about Scottie Scheffler. You were talking about how he changed his putters, but he's won 6 tournaments all before July. Last player to do that was Arnold Palmer back in 1962. So he has moved up the charts in strokes gained. Last year, Jay, he was 162.
That's insane.
So it's not only the putter. What are you seeing him doing just from a technical eye that you have as a PGA Tour player? What are you seeing that he's doing differently?
Well, what I'm looking at is a guy that's got more confidence than he used to have. And you're like, well, duh, he's won 6 times. But it wasn't like he had a bad year last year. But he got into that rut, Danny, last year where he was missing so many, we're talking about putts inside of 5 feet. You don't miss many of those on the PGA Tour when you win. So Scotty went to a new putter. At Rory's suggestion, hey, did you ever try the mallet? And Scotty's like, I don't putt with a mallet. He's like, well, he does now.
Sure.
And he is running. He is, like you said, the results speak for themselves. He's also working with his putting guru named Phil Kenyon, and that's helping a lot. So I'm reading about Phil. I reached out to Phil. I want to get Phil on the show and just talk a little bit about, the ideas that he's throwing out there. He showed, he uses a lot of visual stuff on the greens, Danny, little markers and little dots and things like that are interesting. So but he talks about the same thing like you just said. You got to use your athleticism, and this is a sport, man. Otherwise, the accountants and the smarter guys would be better golfers, and it's not the case. It's the best athletes.
So I want to go back to the Rocket Mortgage in our next segment because there was so much of interesting storylines that came out of that. However, I want to get your thoughts on this. Hank Haney says it's easier than ever to win on the PGA Tour right now. Would you agree with that?
No. Why would it? What's his reason?
I'm assuming because the LIV players are with LIV, and so some of the top players are gone. This is my assumption. No Tiger in his prime,
right.
But you do have Scheffler,
right,
who's on a Tiger-esque type run.
He is.
But I guess it's because of the players that aren't involved in the game right now. Which
okay.
I think there's something to that maybe. When you're not facing Koepka and DeChambeau every single weekend and some of the others, that's maybe a lesser. But I'll say this, though. You have young players that are emerging that maybe you didn't know about a year ago that are really good players that are competing at the top level too.
100%. And I mean, the other thing that he's got to understand, and I think the biggest argument in his behalf, Danny, is you do not have a dominant Tiger Woods. Okay.
And that's where I was going with that earlier. Yeah,
of course. And you do have a dominant Scottie Scheffler, and the script is yet to be written. The
Sure.
final chapters are still wide open, but man alive. I mean, look at what Scheff's doing. I mean, it is super, super impressive. He just did something Tiger has never done. And Danny, the stranglehold he's got on world number 1 is getting Tiger-esque. Now, he's got a lot of years to keep this up, but he's not slowing down anytime soon. I mean, he's not going to fall out of world number 1 for another. I mean, if a crash happens and he loses his game somehow, he's still going to be ranked number 1 for a year and a half with what's going on. So we'll see. it's hard to win on the PGA Tour. It's always hard to win on the PGA Tour. The significant people that we're missing in LIV, I'm going to say Bryson, I'm going to say Neiman, and I'm going to say Cam Smith. I think less of Dustin Johnson as it goes on. I hate to say that because I'm a huge DJ fan.
You got to mention Koepka too.
Oh, and Koepka, absolutely. Yep. You're absolutely right. Koepka's in there. But, Patrick Reed's been an afterthought. He just hasn't – he had a decent Masters, I think, this past year, and that's been the only time we've heard of him in the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So these guys are actually facing oblivion kind of, Danny, in their golf lives, and it's too bad because I want to see more Bryson. I want to see more Koepka, and I want to see this kid. I've love watching Joaquin Neiman play the game. He is an athlete, and he gets out and gets after it, and I love watching him play. And Cameron Smith too. I'm afraid Cameron Smith might become this lazy guy now that he's clipping coupons. It just seems like that, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, me too.
But that's the observation that I'm making, D, and it just doesn't look right to me in the sense that I don't want the kid just won the Players Championship and the Open Championship, and then he jumps to LIV, and I'm like, now we're not hearing anything from you.
So later in the show, we're going to visit with Andy North. That's coming up. But it's time to tip our cap. We're going to tip our cap to the PGA of America. I know you had a nice conversation with the folks down in Frisco, Texas, and hey, the PGA of America is doing some special things here in the game of golf.
Oh, my gosh, they absolutely are. We want to thank the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, 314-966-0303. Colin Burnt is my guy over there. If you need a car, any sort of vehicle, I know it says Volkswagen, he can get you anything. He'll treat you like family. He's absolutely fantastic. We are tipping our cap to the PGA of America today. These folks are absolute warriors for the game of golf. Locally here, we have the Gateway section. We have Allie Wells, who was on our show just recently. Over 300 men and women in our area that take care of the game. They grow the game. They run tournaments. They take care of the golf courses. They're there tirelessly, long hours, very, very little credit for it. And that is what the PGA of America in general is doing. We've got our buddy Nathan Carnes, who's down at Frisco, Texas. He's going to be the 44th president of the PGA of America in 3 years or so. We got our great friend Don Ray, who's the next president of the PGA of America, and we got our dear friend Seth Waugh, who just stepped away as the CEO of the PGA of America. But these guys have really, really enhanced the PGA of America in so many ways, Danny. Their numbers are up. All of our measurables in the game across the board are way up. The only thing that's the problem is the men's game's a mess.
Yeah.
It's divided, and we got Phil Mickelson and Greg Norman stirring the pot every chance they get. So I'm hoping our buddy Seth goes from Frisco, Texas, right on down to Jacksonville, Florida, baby. We could use him. We could use him to help sort us out down there because Seth is a leader, and he's left the PGA of America in great hands. We got PGA Reach, we got PGA Hope, we got the Junior League. We've got the golf is in great hands. And what I love about the PGA of America guys is that they're stewards of the game in so many different facets and different levels. And that's phenomenal to me, and I love it. That's the tip of the cap. That's from the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Call Colin, 314-966-0303. Whew, I got to take a breath.
We're off and running. It's Golf with Jay Delsing. Take that breath during this timeout. Coming up later in the show, it's Andy North. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of storylines coming out last week, and it was a fun event, the Rocket Mortgage. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how it pertains to moving forward on the PGA Tour. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
That was On the Range. Up next, we'll head to the front nine. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions.
Doherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females, are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's greatest names. Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Longer, Justin Leonard, David Toms, and more will compete returning September 3rd through the 8th. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com for information.
I'm delighted to welcome the Amateur Players Tour to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. The APT team has worked so hard to establish a national golf tour for amateurs. Folks, don't miss out on this opportunity. If you love golf and ever wondered what all the fuss about tournament golf is, then this tour is for you. We just released the 2024 schedule, and it is a beast. There's 21 events currently in the metropolitan St. Louis area, with many more to come. But check out these golf courses: Paynes Valley, Ozark National, Stonewolf, Ambrier, Persimmon Woods, Gateway National, and a 36-hole event on Norwood's West Course, and many more. Okay, so the courses are certainly cool and nice, but what's really neat is the way the events are run and how they are run. The APT team does a fantastic job of closely monitoring handicaps and ensuring a good and fair competition. There are 5 divisions, a year-long points competition, major championships, elevated events, and much, much more. Right now, there are over 6,000 members in 41 different local chapters across the country, and all that's happened in just over 5 years. Join now and don't miss out on the best tournament golf in the country, run for amateurs by amateurs themselves. Go to AmateurPlayersTour.com. That's AmateurPlayersTour.com.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Is Golf with Jay Delsing. The Front Nine is presented by the Ascension Charity Classic. To find out more, visit AscensionCharityClassic.com.
We call this Golf with Jay Delsing. It's heard every Sunday morning on 101 ESPN as we come to you from the CarShield Studios And as always, brought to you by Daugherty Business Solutions. With Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Reminder that two-time U.S. Open champion Andy North is coming up in our next segment. Want to get your thoughts, though. Go back to the Rocket Mortgage, and Akshay Bhatia missed what some would consider a little gimme putt to force a playoff at 18. As a viewer, tough to watch it, but man, not an easy putt, was it?
No, Danny, and the circumstances are everything. And look what happened in the U.S. Open just, 3-4 weeks ago, whatever, with Rory missing a 30-inch putt and then a 39-inch putt. And what's interesting, Danny, for what Rory did, the odds of that happening on the PGA Tour for a guy missing those two putts in one round is 1 in 700, 720, something like that. But for him to do it in the last 3 holes, it's astronomical. It just doesn't happen. Here's the thing. Here's my take on Akshay. First of all, I love him. I love watching him play. He's a whisper of a guy, 6'1", barely, he's probably got a 20-inch waist or something crazy.
Seriously.
Doesn't even have a shadow. This kid is so thin, but he absolutely crushes it, okay? But, Danny, he was struggling all day long on Sunday. This tournament was his to win or to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way. Unfortunately for me, I'm not saying I had a shekel or two on this.
So you had a shekel or two.
But I did have him to win this tournament. And I was like, no, you missed a 4. But anyway, at one point in time in the last round, he had a drive. His drive, what did I look at? His average off the tee, Danny, was well over 300 yards, and he hit a drive 97 yards.
I you know what, when I saw it, and I actually sent you the clip.
I know, I saw. And wasn't it great with all of the graphics?
Yes.
You know how they show all that? I thought it was awesome.
I said in the text to you, I don't feel as bad anymore.
Yeah, I feel better. I got to admit, I kind of liked it too.
Right.
But
he still made par, though.
I know. It's what's incredible is that, not incredible, but what I noticed was that he looked uncomfortable in his own skin all day. And that's a learned, you've got to go through that to figure it out. Now, he's already won 2 times on the PGA Tour, and it has to be noted for this kid. He was a world #1 amateur, and he decided, I'm not going to college. He could have played college golf at any place. Wake Forest, any of the best universities, UCLA, anywhere he wanted, he decided to turn pro. And your hat's off to him because he won 2 events on the Corn Ferry once he got out there. He started Monday in events, and he just has this belief in himself that is outstanding. So
he's only 22.
I know. My hat's off to him. When you start talking about some of the vacuums created by the live guys going away, well, here's a guy that stood right in and look at. He is not going to be stopped. This kid's going to, I believe, if he can figure out his putting, because that's the weakest club in his bag by a long shot, D, he'll win major championships. I really believe that. But he was really, and if we pinpoint his back 9, Danny, he was off. He was just off. And especially his putter. He was tentative with that putter all day long. In the back 9, there was a lot of bad golf coming down the stretch from Padilla and then also Cameron Young.
Yeah.
Here's a guy, I think he's got 7 or 8 runner-up finishes, Denny. And he was bad coming in. I mean, there's no way his driver didn't survive. What was it? 13th or 14? Yeah.
14, he smashed his driver.
Yeah.
So he put it down, it snaps, and all of a sudden, so this is something I want to get into.
Yeah.
So he loses the driver. That's out.
Listen, if you break that driver, I love it, it's out. If you break that driver in the normal course of play, like somehow you're just walking down the fairway carrying it and you hit something and it breaks, you're allowed to replace it. He was pissed. He smashed it into the ground and squeezed the grip end to the head, which I may or may not have done
a few times,
100 times in my life.
Sure.
And guess what? The shaft just goes ping, and off it goes.
So he's left with his 3-wood.
You're not right. You're not allowed to replace a club broken out of anger. You are not. It has to be broken. Like Danny, say for example, not that you would ever do this, but maybe I would. You hit your drive and it's kind of by a tree, and your follow through hits the tree and it breaks the shaft. You're allowed to replace that club. So it happens in the normal course of play. Anything else? Nope.
People may not realize how many clubs are allowed to go in a bag. You just made me think about this. Let's go through this. So
Yeah, sure.
the typical PGA Tour pro, and then what an amateur may have in their bag, because it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot different. Go ahead.
Different.
You got a smile on your face.
Different.
What do you got?
We're only allowed 14 clubs to play with, and you are not allowed in the middle of a round to change any of those. But I will tell you, and we're working on this with your daughter Avery as we speak, I will tell you that these guys have multiple options for the golf courses that they're going to play. And what I mean by that, folks, is that let's say you go to the U.S. Open where you have a lot of this intermediate size rough. It's not the hay like we used to have for the U.S. Open, but it's a 3-inch or 3.5-inch rough where you might get a lie, you might not get a lie. There's going to be a lot of utility wood set out of there, and I mean a 7, an 8 wood, or even a 9 wood, because those perform better out of those than, say, a 4-iron would, okay? And they'll also, if you get a good player, they're going to be much more comfortable. If they're using something less than a driver off the tee, they're going to be much more comfortable hitting an iron than one of those utility woods, or maybe they're hybrid. Okay, so depending on the golf course, it will dictate the average touring pro. Danny is going to start the week with probably 16, 17, 18 clubs in the bag, sometimes even wedges, depending on the bounce that you have on your wedge. If the ground is really firm, you'll have X. If the ground is really soft, you'll have a different version of that, because your angle of attack will matter and the way the ball will react will matter. Now, not many guys change wedges like that. I've known a few, but I've seen it, and I've done it myself, where I'll take my 5-wood out and put a 2-iron in the bag because I want to have a driving iron that week, and so I'm going to hit that. I just am more comfortable.
Hit that little dart.
Yeah, that little stinger type thing, that little low roller that goes out there, and it's like a fairway finder. So the golf course will dictate that. And a lot of times you might even put in a club for a specific hole, Danny, meaning there's this par 3 and it's 242 yards long, but you can't be sending one of these scud 2-irons in there. It's not going to stay on the green. It's got to be up. It's got to be soft. And so that will happen often, where you will have specific clubs for specific courses 100% of the time. The bottom line is, though, for us, is you're only allowed 14.
Well,
that's not the case. Not the case. Some guys have a
bag. Some guys have a bag, and gals. I'm not going to name this person, but I know a person that keeps a lot of wedges in their bag.
I don't know who keeps a lot of Dan McLaughlin wedges in their bag. I don't either. I remember when you pulled out the 64 degree.
I had a 64 for a while.
I was like, that thing looks like a spatula. I go, you got to swing and duck. That ball was up, man. You could hit that thing straight up.
It's hilarious.
I don't know.
I love it. And none of it helps me.
No, but you love to support the game, man. You must walk in the golf shop. They're like, right on. Here goes Mr. McLaughlin again. Give me that. I'll take that. Some of those naked lady tees. Let's do it.
Do it. I'm telling you.
I know.
What's in your bag? I think fans would be curious. Our listeners would be curious what you carry in your bag.
I've got the which TaylorMade driver do I have? I have the I don't remember. Isn't that terrible? I don't remember the name of it, but it's the version that after the M2. It's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. And how that came about was my old driver broke in the Ascension Charity Classic Pro-Am. And so it was perfect timing. I just went right to the truck. They'd used the same shaft, popped it in there, and off I went. I've got an old Cleveland launcher, and this drives everybody crazy, but it's a Cleveland launcher 3-wood. I just smash it. I just love it.
I get a kick out of them. We're playing. It's just got the silver head.
Yeah, it's got some love marks on it.
It sure does.
It's got some airtime.
Yes, it does.
It's relatively aerodynamic for a 3-wood.
As you've told me before, it's like a bad ball or a bad club. You say, no, you're going back in the bag, or you're going into the lake because you don't want to play with me. You don't want to play right with me.
Danny, I used to go down in my basement, and the girls were like, "Is Dad okay?" And I'd be like, "I'm good." And I'd talk to these clubs. I'm like, "Who wants to make some money? Like, come on." Like, give me something. Which one of you guys want to make some money? I need some help here. This is hard.
I love it.
And then I have an Olimar low-profile 5-wood that is older than half the kids we play with. It's got to be 30 years old.
I love it.
And I love that club. And so now the longest iron I have is a 4-iron, and I have my 58.5 degree wedge, and then my 54, and then I just ordered a brand new Vokey SM10 50-degree wedge for my bag. So I've got these phenomenal tailor-made irons. I really love them. The 770s are really good. So a little more forgiving, little bigger sweet spot. And then I've got the Spider, the Spider putter. I've got the white version of the Spider putter. I just love it.
How about Akshay? Let's go back to him.
Yeah.
The putter.
That's a strange putter, isn't it?
So you said it's a weakness in his bag. I can tell you this. It's not the smallest club that he has in his bag. That putter is enormous.
Danny, if he takes a drop, he could probably go across the fairway with that thing.
Yes.
It's so big. So it's legal to use that for your drop. You can, any club in your bag that you can, that you're playing with, you can use. Now, they've limited the length of shafts on drivers to, I think it's 48 and a half inches. So it can't get crazy like some of the long drive hitters have, these 55 and 56 inch drivers. But he's got the broom handle, the broomstick, and he doesn't look great over the putter. He looks really good over everything else. It's surprising to me, Danny, that he looks this bad over the putter at this young an age. I don't know where he's going from here with this.
I was thinking the same thing, because normally it's the older guys. They've gone through yips. They've got the quote-unquote the belly putter, even though you can't rest on your belly. I get it.
Yeah.
But it does surprise me for a young guy that he's using this already.
I agree. It's a little concerning.
Yeah.
A little concerning, but this is a great kid. I'd love to get him on the show and just listen to him talk. He's a hard worker. I love the fact that he reminds me of Bryson DeChambeau, in the fact, Danny, that I'm doing this my way. I'm not going to college. I'm not interested in college. I'm going to be the best player in the world. That's what I'm going after. And this is my path. Let's go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to get into something also very interesting. Wearing two gloves. Aaron Ray does that, and it's something that, if you were watching last weekend, obviously it caught your attention that he's wearing two gloves, a left and a right, and swinging the club with both gloves.
Did you notice too, Danny? They're black. You don't see the black gloves. I thought it's cool. When I was a kid,
that's another thing.
When I was a kid, Danny, they had colored gloves, so you would have a red glove and a yellow glove and a green glove, and it was and somehow or another they went to all white, and now they're coming back with some of these colored. Some of these colored gloves. He's got I would love to talk to him about that, because he's also got iron covers on his irons. And I know that was to protect his clubs when he was a kid, because he didn't have any money and he didn't want these irons getting all banged up and dinged up when they were traveling and stuff. And so it's super cool. It's also incredibly quirky.
Do you think it might have been where he was playing in the rain at some point, and then all of a sudden it became very comfortable for him, so he just continued it?
Here's another thing, Danny. He could have a really, really, this sounds crazy, but his hands could perspire a ridiculous amount.
Sure.
My teammate and roommate in college, Steve Pate, had that, and he used to use 3 or 4 gloves around playing on tour when it was super, super hot. It was never hot in California, because there wasn't the humidity. But once we got traveling around, super hot, and he would have this. He had this product that he was constantly putting on his hands because it helped absorb the sweat, so they wouldn't go through so many gloves. But it's extremely interesting, and that might be the reason too. It also might be, Danny, when he was a kid, he beat his hands up, and it hurts. And you put the glove on, and it's kind of a level of protection. So that could
cushioning.
That could be it as well. When you put that new glove on, that just feels great.
It sure does.
It just feels
and
great.
The grip, the tightness on the club.
It's sticky, and it just feels right.
That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Coming up, it'll be Andy North as we visit with the 2-time U.S. Open champion. After that, we're going to talk about what you need to do on the driving range. The process, hitting balls on the driving range, part of our tip segment as we head down the stretch. This is Golf with Jay Delsing, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
That was the front 9. Up next, we'll make the turn. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by CarShield.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with Elevate Golf. At Elevate Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at Elevate Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevategolf.com. That's ELV, the number 8, golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
This is Chris Nagel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, and it's because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and easy, and their customer service is second to none. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester in Kirkwood, you'll be a customer for life because they will treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, I'm Adam Betts, PGA professional and owner at Family Golf and Learning Center. We welcome golfers of all ages and abilities, from the junior golfer to the experienced players. From our indoor TrackMan simulators, large short game area, grass tees, and driving range bays, to our golf instruction, leagues, clinics, and camps, we connect you with every resource to reach your golfing goals. We look forward to helping you improve your golf game at Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf. Visit us at familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com.
Recently, my nephew called me and said his basement had flooded and all the hardwood, carpet, and flooring had to be replaced. I told him I have the perfect place for you to go. At Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture, this second-generation family-owned business treats everyone just like their family. Jared Capps is continuing his mom and dad's 50-year business tradition where honesty, transparency, and service carry the day. My nephew loved the luxury vinyl product. Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture has the largest selection in the area. Whether you prefer Mohawk and the wide variety of their product lines, I love the Rev Wood product, by the way, or Karastan or Pergo Elements line, Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture will literally have you covered. You have pets? Let Jared tell you about the many sustainable flooring and carpet options that are pet-friendly but also easily maintained to keep your floors looking great every day. And don't forget about their huge selection of Lazy Boy recliners. They are awesome and one of the biggest selections in the Midwest. Call them today at 618-936-0536 and get your free estimate or set up a consultation with one of their experts. You can also go to jerseyvillecarpetandfurniture.net. Proud sponsor of Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Making the Turn. Making the Turn is presented by Family Golf and Learning Center. For the kids and adults who love the game of golf, look no further than Family Golf and Learning Center. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
The winner of 2 U.S. Opens, 1978, 1985. And if you watch any golf, you're going to find Andy North on the telecast or working for ESPN. Hey, Andy, thanks for joining us. We certainly appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
I can remember 1985 was my rookie year on the PGA Tour, and you win in the U.S. Open at Oakland Hills. That golf course, that event was absolutely a war, wasn't it? That place was a beast.
Well, it's always been a really difficult golf course, and they've gone through a remodel there over the last few years, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's always been a great major venue because of the difficulty, and you stumble around and no one ever plays great at places like that. It's about sort of finishing, and that's kind of what it looked like. It's like the end of a NASCAR race. There's a whole bunch of people had a chance, and somebody stuck their nose in front at the end, and that was how it happened.
Andy, you're so humble, but I played an Opens, and I have not done nearly as well as you have, but it takes such toughness and such mental strength, doesn't it, to not let the golf course completely overwhelm you and beat you to death?
Well, I think the biggest thing there, going in, it's going to be a tough week. I love those kind of conditions. I really enjoyed looking forward to playing at a U.S. Open, and I felt like I had a much better chance there than a lot of guys because I embraced it. I used to love to walk through the locker room and guys about how deep the rough is, or the greens are ridiculous, or this or that. And you just walk through and kind of smile and move on. And, because you felt like you had probably 2/3 of the guys beat before you even started. And to me, that was always fun.
Andy, was interesting. We had Curtis Strange, also two-time winner of the U.S. Open, on our podcast. And while he was close to winning a Masters, same thing as you, he said it was more important to win a U.S. Open because it is our national tournament and anybody can qualify. So it's not just being invited to the Masters, but also you look at the Open, anybody can win it. So was that more meaningful for you to win a pair of U.S. Opens as opposed to any other tournament that is offered on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, it was. From the time you were a junior player, the USGA Junior was the most important tournament. Then as an amateur, the US Am was the most important tournament. I always embraced USGA golf. I loved what they were trying to ask out of a player. And to be your national champion is, extra special.
Andy, I don't think there was a day that went by when I was a little kid on this really lousy Muni golf course that I grew up with my mom's clubs that I didn't have a putt to win the U.S. Open. It was always, I wanted to be the best player in the U.S.
Yeah, I think I can remember as a kid the same sort of deal, that you'd be sitting on the putting green waiting for a ride home at night. And you're hitting 5-footers, and this is when the U.S. Open to beat Arnold. This is when the U.S. Open to beat Jack. Those are the kind of things that we all strive for, and that was the tournament we all knew about because it was your national championship.
So, Andy, growing up in Wisconsin, how did a cold weather place and a cold weather guy wind up being a golfer that goes to Florida, become an All-American? You have an incredible career at Florida, and you're a Hall of Famer there. But looking back on it, how does a kid from Wisconsin become one of the best golfers in the nation?
I think growing up in a place where you didn't play, every day all year long was a benefit. I think that, you played other sports, you got away from the game, you had a chance to grow as an athlete and a person, and not just as a golfer. And as Jake knows, growing up where he did, that you go and play golf when it's 48 degrees and it's windy and rainy and whatever, because it's the time you only have so many days in the year that you can. And I think that helped me. And you look back at some of the tournaments that I played well in, a lot of them were really bad weather. You understood how to try to deal with it. And so many of our great bad weather players are guys that grew up in the north. I mean, you think about Watson, you think about Nicklaus, they weren't from Southern California or Florida. I think it was an advantage in some ways.
Andy, I almost felt like it made us hardier, because I can remember right around the fall time of the year on tour, the BC Open was kind of the first week we'd get cold weather, and I always loved putting that sweater on. And to your point, and this is a much lower level than the U.S. Open, but walking through that locker room, man, the guys were bitching a lot about it's too cold, the ball's not going to go anywhere. And I thought, bring it on, man. These guys are going to roll over and die, and I have less people to try to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you can look at it, and I found it interesting when I did go to school at Florida, you'd have those days where fronts would go through and it'd be 50 degrees and maybe the wind's blowing 15 or 20. It wasn't the most perfect day to go play golf. And a lot of the guys from down there didn't go play. Well, it was a cold day. It's going to be a nice day tomorrow, so why should we go do this? So I think all in all, it probably helped you mentally. Maybe it made you a little bit tougher. Maybe it was easier to deal with those kind of conditions when you got them in a tournament. But all in all, it was a great place to grow up.
Andy, I look at the PGA Tour now, and I mean, you were on tour for years and years before I even got on there, but I look at the way it was back in the middle 80s. I mean, other than really great golf being played, it doesn't really resemble much of the same stuff. I mean, you look at a putting green, and it looks like you have villages camped out there now with all the tech and all of the club manufacturers, and just the boom in golf is just amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's changed. It is called the same sport, but it's so different. The equipment has changed dramatically. The agronomy has changed so dramatically. I mean, some of the fairways now are better than greens that we grew up on playing. Open Championship at St. Andrews, the last couple times it's been there, the fairways literally were faster than the greens. So they're able to do things now that the ball goes further, but at the same time the fairways are cut in such a way that if you get the ball in the fairway, it's going to run another 30 or 40 yards. So there's been a lot of differences, but you still got to figure out how to get in the hole, and you still have to figure out how not to beat yourself. And these guys go about it a little bit differently, but they're awfully good at what they do.
Andy, one of the things that I can remember so vividly, I think it was my rookie year on tour, we were playing the Anheuser-Busch Golf Classic in Williamsburg, Virginia, and you had your wife Susan and your two girls with you, and we were at the park. And you told me, the girls only want me to be here because of my wallet. And you were walking a little behind the girls. And I just remember some of the stories and the fondness of the intimacy of the tour. I remember the wives, because there weren't a lot of opportunities to have daycare and all of the developed things that they have on tour now, where the wives were actually, if you were having a good day or a good tournament, a lot of the wives would get together with your wife and say, hey, we'll watch the kids, go out and, see if you can, catch a few holes and things like that. There was something really charming, and for whatever reason, the word romantic comes into my mind, but I really loved that part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and you started 12, 15 years after I did, the fact that so many people drove, and the fancy hotels we stayed in were those horseshoe Holiday Inns with the swimming pool in the middle, and there'd be 15 grills out going at night and kids running all over the place. Our kids were, I think, really lucky that they had their tour friends and they had their friends at home. I think that was great. And as you're saying, people looked out after each other. I remember Lou Graham his daughters are a little bit older than most of the kids in our generation, and they decided they're going to babysit all these kids. And they came up with this great idea that the two of them could babysit all these kids together. And they had like 10 or 12 of them one day. And, basically they were tied to a chair when everybody got home. The kids took over. But it was, it was fun, and it was a different environment than it is now. But, I'm sure that these guys will look back 25 years from now and think, that was pretty cool. We had a lot of great friends and whatever, but it's just different.
You're fabulous on TV, and I wanted to compliment you on that. You have a calm demeanor. You teach the game. You're fair to the players. How did that all come about for you, starting at ESPN in 1992 to becoming one of the top analysts that the sport has right now?
Well, I think, first of all, none of us are trained for it. I was struggling physically in the early 90s, and I had a chance to work at Quad Cities. Gary Koch had fallen and broken his leg at the Canadian the week before. They were looking for somebody, and I wasn't playing very well and stumbling around. They said, would you mind trying this? And I did it, and that was kind of fun. They asked me to do it at the end of the year, and I turned them down the first time because I thought I was going to have yet one more operation and go ahead and try to rehab and see if I come back and play. The next year, they asked again. We sat down and figured, what the heck? I can go out there and maybe I can give my body a year off and give it a chance to heal up and try it and see what happens. And, it's 32 years ago. So I'd still tell people I don't have any idea what's going on, but they put something up on the screen and you talk about it. I've always tried to be fair. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, everybody hits crummy shots. They're not trying to hit crummy shots. Explain maybe why it happened is way more important than just tell them that they're terrible. To me, it's been always important that for me to bring information to the viewer, I have to have access to the players. And if you rip them all the time, you're not going to have access to them. I think that part was important.
I couldn't believe it, and you don't remember this, but I do. I was down in the U.S. Virgin Islands for the Paradise Jam. Wisconsin is playing in that, and for folks that don't know, it's a basketball tournament. And I look over, I'm doing the TV, and Wisconsin's on the floor, and I see Andy North. And I'm thinking, what is he doing calling college basketball as an analyst? So are you doing a lot of that, or how did that all come about?
Well, I'm a fanatic Wisconsin fan and been around the program for 30, 40 years. Not just basketball, but all the sports there have been really, really involved over the years. It's been a lot of fun. The same two guys, Matt LePay and Mike Lucas, do both football and basketball for the Badgers. They've been the radio guys for literally 35 years. They do a fabulous job. There's always usually it's the Thanksgiving tournament that everybody goes to, Hawaii, Virgin Islands, wherever it might be, that they're doing a basketball game on Saturday, usually the last football game of the season. I've filled in some years, I might do as many as 5 games depending on the schedule, and some years I might do 1 or 2, but it's a lot of fun. I probably get a little carried away. I've gotten to know the refs by first, so when guys screw up, I make sure that people know that it was a horrible call by Ted Hillary or whoever it happened to be. So, no, it's been an awful lot of fun, and it's fun being around the kids. It helps you keep you younger.
You keep mentioning fun, and that is such a huge component for me too. And I can remember we were playing in the Byron Nelson down in Las Colinas, and that golf course is one of the weirder courses we play because it's kind of a compilation of 4 or 5 courses that have been thrown together over the years. But you and I were out there playing one day, and we played cross-country golf from, I think, the 7th tee to over. And we walked, I think one hole was probably 2.5 miles long. We were hitting shots you were showing me. And I just came off of that day with such an appreciation for what this game was. It showed a different light. Here's a 2-time U.S. Open champion showing me how to have fun in a practice round and also work on my game at the same time.
Well, I think it has to be fun. I think we've got a 12-year-old granddaughter now that's playing some of the travel volleyball and basketball and that kind of stuff. And it's fun to see those kids have fun and not, sometimes the parents at that level get a little squirrely, and sometimes the coaching gets a little bit out of control. It's been fun to see her with some really good coaches that, she's learned an awful lot, and it is about fun. If you're not having fun doing this, what should you be doing? And I think so often you get into the grind of the tour and it's the same week after week after week. If you don't have some ways to, practice differently or change up the routines or, some of those things, it really gets to be where it's work. And once it gets to be where it's work, generally your performance doesn't equate.
Andy, for somebody that got to play against Jack in his prime and Arnold and the great players of the game, a guy like Tiger comes out. He's not going to go down historically as the best player ever because Jack's going to have more majors and things like that. But there's a story to be told that how important it is to manage yourself off the golf course. But I don't think I ever have seen anyone like Tiger with more aces in his bag, so to speak, Andy, and his winning percentage. Have you thought much about that, comparing Tiger to Jack and some of their records and things like that?
That's one question I get asked quite a bit about, who is the best of these two? And my answer is, I don't know who is the best, but if they're playing across the street, I'd pay money to go watch them play.
Yeah, same.
And I wouldn't do that for many others. And if you look at their games, their history, it's very, very similar. I mean, they both came on tour and just dominated with length. And then people started catching up with them, and they were able to dominate other ways. Tiger's short game early in his career, much, much better than Jack's chipping, pitching, bunker shots. Because basically Jack never had to do that. He hit it so far back then, and the courses weren't as long, and he basically hit driver wedge. he's playing the game back in the 60s, very similar to how the young guys are playing now. You beat it out there a mile and you hit it on there with a wedge. Why chip and putt? Why have to chip and hit pitch shots? Because you never have them. Jack was an unbelievable Tiger, unbelievable putter. Maybe arguably the two best pressure putters we've ever had. They both were talked about, couldn't drive their golf ball as well as they needed to, but both of them could when they needed to. If they had to put in the fairway, they usually did some way. Jack figured, and both Tiger and Jack both figured out it might be a 3-wood, it might be a 2-iron. It doesn't matter. I mean, I had the great fortune of walking every single shot Tiger hit at Hoylake that year when he won the Open Championship, where he hit one driver. It's the greatest precision exhibition of golf I've ever seen. To have played with Jack and been around Tiger so much, they're just different animals. And I think both of them sort of ruined the expectations of the game for so many other players coming after him, because the guy thought if he didn't win 3 or 4 times a year, he wasn't a very good player. Well, you win once a year, you play 20 years, you're a Hall of Famer. It's hard to win out there, and when guys do it 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year, that's ridiculous.
The thing that stands out to me is they were at especially for me, they were at a different level mentally. They seemed to be able to get into this mode mentally. For Tiger, because I didn't get to watch Jack. I got to play with him, but not in his prime. When watching Tiger, Andy, I felt like he'd seen this movie already. I felt like he had seen himself doing this before. And to me, the mental strength, especially with all the chaos that was going on in his personal life, was just amazing.
Tiger had a great person to study, and it was Jack. I truly believe if there'd have been somebody out in front of Jack that had won 25 majors, he'd have won 25 majors. I think that he would have done whatever it needed to be to get there. Where Tiger's kind of the same way, that if he'd have stayed healthy during the last 10 or 12 years, I thought that he'd win 25 majors in 100 tournaments, minimum, when he got going. It was just so much fun to watch him play. And I think that those two guys are the two strongest mentally that I've seen. A guy like a Watson or a Floyd, or, they were in that same kind of category, that they could get in that space. But, Tiger and Jack did it for 15 years. There's been a lot of guys that could do it for 1 or 2, but not many that could do it for any length over 3 or 4 years.
Andy, with your time in TV, I'm curious about this, and you've seen the game change and how it's covered, and now players are getting mic'd up in the middle of rounds. We saw that at the Masters. In your opinion, what can we do to advance television for the average fan to bring them into being the golf fan that never misses a round, always wants to watch, and innovations with television and how it's covered? Is there anything that you'd like to see or bring into the viewer for those that watch on TV?
Well, I think we got to be careful not get to the point where it turns into a circus. I thought the interviews were amazing, but I personally probably wouldn't have done it. These kids look at things differently than we all did. I think one of the things in the last 2 or 3 years is, and this is a little bit of a self-promotion, but I think has been really great for game, and that's the PGA Tour Live and ESPN Plus, where it's on. You can basically produce and direct whatever you want. Do I want to watch these holes? Do I want to watch this group? Do I want to watch like a regular coverage of all the groups and holes? So I think you can watch your favorite player hit at least 2 or 3 shots somewhere during the course of the day, based on either on these, the holes that they're covering or whatever. And I think that really has changed things. That, if a guy you want to watch is playing at 7:30 in the morning, it's going to be on. You can find, he's going to be one of the featured groups. I think that's just been amazing.
I love that featured group option. Also, Andy, one of the things that dawns on me, especially compared, there just wasn't any money and any attention in the game really back in yours and my generation. But these kids are all their own brands, and they have these teams behind them where yoga instructors and cooks and, social media specialists. And I'd much rather have dinner with you in the back of some restaurant without taking a picture of my steak and just talk golf. But, it's just a different world now.
You're starting to sound like an old guy, Jay.
I'm there, man. I'm there.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, it's a completely different world, and that's what it is. And these guys have embraced the social media world, and because of they've been able to, it's been very lucrative for them in a lot of ways. But it also can get guys in trouble if they're not careful. So you got to be careful on how you handle it. But at the same time, you got to love, what they've been able to create, and they're doing it well. And the top guys are terrific at it. I love Scotty Scheffler to death because they're a guy who's in the last 2 years has had amazing success. He's driving the same car he had in college. He's living in the same house he lived when he first started. He doesn't. I think he has a flip phone. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he does. I've never seen a social post by him in any way. He does business and plays golf, and he's having a great time doing it.
Hey, Andy, you've been so gracious with your time and on the insight, and we can't thank you enough. Love your work on television, and hopefully we catch up sooner rather than later.
Making the Turn was brought to you by Pro-Am Golf. See what Pro-Am Golf can do for you. Up next, we head to the back nine. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
So you've been hearing me talk about one of our community's greatest contributors and most philanthropically inclined companies. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Marcone. They're the largest distributor of General Electric appliance parts in North America. Did you know that Marcone is also the largest and most trusted supplier of commercial and residential appliance parts, HVAC, plumbing, commercial kitchens, and pools and spas? All of that's in North America as well. That's right, Marcone does all that. Marcone is committed to supporting our first responders, all the branches of service in our military, our police and firefighters, and many more. From the viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, founded in honor of our military heroes, to their commitment to Reese Across America program, Marcone is here for you and your family as well as your community. That's Marcone, the official sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our back nine bar and grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
I am proud to welcome the Gateway section of the PGA back to my show. Whether you're pulling into your favorite driving range, public golf course, or country club, there is an excellent chance that the staff there is part of the over 300 men and women PGA professionals at over 100 facilities that make up our Gateway section. I grew up watching so many of these fine men and women getting to the golf course at dawn, leaving at dusk, spending their entire day running events, giving lessons, and growing this great game. PGA Reach, Drive, Chip, and Putt, PGA Hope, and the fantastic PGA Junior League are a few of the examples of the programs run by these same PGA professionals. Go to gatewaypga.org to learn more, or to find your next PGA professional for your next lesson, go to pga.com. The Gateway PGA, growing the game we love.
This is The Back Nine. The Back Nine is brought to you by Car Shield. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, heard every Sunday on 101 ESPN, coming to you from the Car Shield studios, and is always presented by Doherty Business Solutions. That's Jay, I'm Dan. That was a fun visit with Andy North, the two-time U.S. Open champ. I love what he got into with you, talking about families on tour. It's like the circus just rolled into town with the families, the golfers, everybody.
Danny, back in the day, I mean, guys would barbecue, and they'd have the family, the kids would be out in the pool, and it was such a different. I hate to sound like that old guy, but because when I first got on tour, it was I didn't know anybody. I wasn't like, they weren't inviting me over, but I saw what was happening, and the other thing is, it sounds crazy, but nobody was making much money.
Sure. We
were just playing because this was like, oh my gosh, we're on the PGA Tour.
It's a chance to play golf and make some money. Why not do it?
I know. I mean, and who knew this thing was going to grow like it did? Tiger would come out, change everything. But
you just missed the Tiger money.
Yeah, it's fine though. I look, when I look at what my dad got to play baseball for. I mean, I did great.
Yeah,
I did great. So I am not that guy. I mean, would I like to be playing professional golf now? Yeah, sure would. I'd be picking you up in somebody else's jet. We'd be going somewhere. I could tell you that.
I definitely would be on your bag. I know that.
Because everybody's got a jet.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody's got Netflix, or NetJets, and Netflix, and every other damn thing. But I'll never forget this. My rookie year on the PGA Tour, I had this caddy. He was an old guy, but he loved me. He always wanted to caddy for me, but he wasn't a good caddy. And I felt bad, so I take him sometimes, and because I was trying to figure out who the hell's going to caddy for me. And he comes up to me. We got one tournament left. We're in San Antonio, and the next week we're going down to Pensacola, and that's the end of the year. And he says, I want to caddy for you in Pensacola. I know this place like the back of my hand. And he comes over to my hotel room, Danny, and I'm staying. I'll never forget this. I'm staying at the Red Roof. I'm by myself, and he walks in, and he goes, I got something for you. His name was Lee Lynch. And I said, what's up, Lee? I said, don't buy me anything. What are you buying me? He bought me a frozen Salisbury steak dinner.
Frozen.
Those little aluminum thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like $3. And I'm like, Lee,
it's
you
a thought
take
that matters.
Of course. I said, you take this. I don't want it. I already ate. He goes, put it in the freezer. You can eat it for tomorrow. And I'm like, I want you to take it. And finally I got him to take it. But he said, listen, I want a caddy for you next week. It'll be a great week for you. There's optional illusions at this golf course, and everything breaks left. I was like, oh boy, optional illusions.
What does he mean by that?
I think he was trying to say optical illusions, right. Not optional. I'm like, optional, like you look at them or you don't. And I was like terrified. I'm like, Lee, I already committed, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But I'm like, ooh, could you imagine if everything breaks left someplace?
Yeah.
What are you, standing on your head? How can you say stuff like that?
All right, I got to ask you, good caddy, bad caddy. What makes a good caddy?
Knowing when to say stuff and when not to say stuff. Sometimes the best thing to do is shut up. So the old rule of thumb was show up, keep up, and shut up. It sounds terrible, but those were the 3 keys to becoming a good caddy. And then you got to do your homework. You got to get out on that golf course, and you got to know that golf course. And back in the day, Danny, we had to do golf courses and practice rounds with no GPSs. We didn't have lasers. Now it's a piece of cake.
Right.
You stand on the tee, you pop a couple numbers in, and you can do an entire hole in 5 or 10 minutes.
So they're allowed to do that on the day, not
we're allowed
Thursday
to
through
use them
Sunday.
in practice rounds. Absolutely, but not in the competition.
So that makes a good caddy, having an understanding of the course.
Yeah.
And then one of the things I wanted to bring up with you is that I love, and any of the events that you're watching, but the cameras now are getting the conversations between the caddies and the players. It's got to take you back. You got to sit there and say, oh, man, that reminds me of this. That reminds me of that.
100%. Danny, when we were doing TV for Fox, we called that TV gold. And whenever you could hear the conversation, we were supposed to lay out. Just lay out, let it breathe, and let it go. And, there were a few times I'd had conversations that should not be on the air. I'm just going to say that to you right now. But, the other thing about a caddy is he's got to be compatible with you personality-wise. And that doesn't always mean the agreeable. I had one guy that I had a lot of success with. He was a gruff New Yorker who would tell jokes and was just this gruff personality, and he was great because when we came down the stretch and had a chance to win a couple tournaments, and I had him on the back, he was rock solid. You don't want if you know your caddy's nervous, that's a terrible, terrible feeling.
Well,
Danny.
it leads me into this. I love it when the caddy says, yeah, I love it. Let's do it. Let's go for it. That's it. That's the right place. You just hear the confidence and to sell it.
That reconfirming what you see, and it's an 8-iron all day. Absolutely. You don't have to take any off it. Just hit it. Or it's a stock 6-iron. Those are the sort of things that give a player a ton more confidence.
I don't know if you would have done it, but the walk-in talks on the PGA Tour, you talk about TV gold. I'll go back a few weeks ago at the Canadian Open. Joel Damon, who's I love. I mean, on the Netflix series, he's great, and I'm cheering for him. I'm hoping he has success. Love his caddy. Love the relationship between the two.
Those guys said they both come on the show. We just haven't been able to pin them down yet. Gino and Joel. Could you imagine?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Need 4 hours.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But Joel was saying he puts one a little right. He's in the rough, and they're doing the walk and talk with him. He has no idea where the ball is.
Yeah.
And then he gets near the ball, and he's still talking. Jay, he said, "Oh boy, this is tough." Didn't get a good lie.
Funky lie. I got this.
Did you see that? I don't know if he, and then he puts it up there and birdies the hole. It had a great shot. But to see how he meticulously, mentally talking through the shot, what he's going to do, then have commitment to it. That is TV gold for anybody that loves this game.
They did, and I think it was last week, Danny, at the Rocket. Didn't they have Taylor Montgomery on there? And he was talking about, they said, Colt Knost is not good. He goes, he's not good for my liver. He's not good for a lot of things. I got such a kick out of that because Colt's a great guy and does a good job with his on-the-ground commentary. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Danny, they have been, they meaning the networks, CBS, NBC, Golf Channel, has been trying to get the golfers to acquiesce to this for years, and every single person in my generation said no. It was just too weird. But, I mean, the kids with their brands now, social media, all this stuff, it's a no-brainer. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
You're on both sides of it. You've been in the media side. You're on the media side now. Yeah. Obviously, you played 30-plus years on the PGA Tour. Would you have done it? Would you have put the headset on and said, "Yeah, I want to walk and talk with you"?
I would have. I think I would have. I think it would have. I almost find it relaxing. You know what I mean? To just kind of there's just moments when you're playing professional golf that you need an outlet. It's almost like, in another sport, Danny. Remember when you play basketball, you get 5 fouls. Man, I would make that first foul count. Because it got my blood pumping, and sometimes it feels good to run or just to blow off some of that steam, and maybe you could, tell a joke or two or get, some interaction with either Baker Finch or Nobilo or the guys that have down there before. Jim Nance, who's fantastic, Trevor Immelman. You could get some sort of relief from some of the pressure that you're feeling.
Interesting. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're going to go to a lesson about hitting balls on the driving range. That is coming up, and this should be fascinating. Everybody goes to the driving range. They think they're doing it right. Well, you're probably not. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
That was the Back Nine, presented by Elevate Golf. Get your golf game in shape with Elevate Golf.
A professional golfer, as you watch on TV every Sunday afternoon, never ventures onto the course without his trusted caddy. This was true for me for my entire career. I want you to think of Powers Insurance as your insurance caddy that you never had. Just as my golf caddy helped me to assess risk on the golf course, Powers Insurance can do the same for you in your busy and complicated life. Tim Davis, COO at Powers Insurance, did exactly that for me and saved me over 50% on one of my coverages. A good insurance risk advisor can help you know when to take a chance or when it may be smarter to take a little more club. Give the folks at Powers Insurance a call and get a caddy for all of your insurance needs. Call them at 314-725-1414. That's 314-725-1414. That's Powers Insurance.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing, rated as the #1 golf show in the Midwest. Now let's get back to Jay and Dan.
The Sunday morning show, Golf with Jay Delsing, rolls on 101 ESPN as we come to you from the CarShield studios, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. That's Jay, I'm Dan. Okay, a little golf lesson here. We're going to go on the range.
I love it.
Hitting balls on the driving range. Let's start with a simple question.
Yep.
What is your process?
Okay, so this
Well, you took a deep breath.
great. I did, because Danny, I think this can help people more than anything. First of all, have a plan. What does that mean? Here's what I see more times than not. You're coming in hot because you didn't give yourself enough time before your tee time, and you come in, you grab your driver, and you swing for the. It's exactly the wrong way to go about doing it. Grab your wedges and hit some smooth little pitch shots to give you help set up your tempo. It gives you a sense of feel and touch with all of your clubs, and then you can build up to hitting something a little harder. Plus, the driver's tough, man, and I see it all the time, and people they seem to always want to start with that driver. I just don't get it.
What's your process? What do you do?
So I start with my 58.5-degree wedge, and I hit little pitches. I'll hit little 5-yard pitches, and I'll max it out a little bit or lengthen it out a little bit to some 30, 40-yarders and just get a sense for that feel. So what I wind up doing, I'm going to say, D, this is a warm-up before we go play. This is not a practice session, okay? Because there's a huge difference.
I'm going to get into that momentarily.
I know, it's going to be great. I think people will really, really benefit from this. So now I'll go. So I've got my little short stuff. Then I'll go to either a pitching wedge or an 8 or 9 iron, and then I'll start hitting some full shots. Okay. Then I'll vary it a little bit. I'll hit some draws. I'll hit some fades. I'll hit some little knockdowns that I like to do, and I'll just vary it. So let's say I'm with my 8 iron. So I'll hit a high shot. I'll hit a low shot. And so I am looking to work on my setup a little bit to make sure that I'm in the right positions, but I am getting loose to play. And when I go out and play, all I'm thinking about is scoring low. That's it. I'm not trying to be pretty. I don't give a dang where that thing goes. I'm going to try to figure out how. You've been with me before. I'm like, Danny, I'm going to have fun with this.
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm in that bush over there. We're going to see if I can hit it through that bush, over the hills. We go, whatever it is, and try to make a par or birdie. That's what I'm trying to do. So when I go from my 8 iron, I'll go back to one of my wedges. And so the last wedge I hit was my 58.5. I'll go to my 54, and I'll hit some little shorties with the 54, and then I'll hit some full ones. Then I'll go back and go to my 4 iron, and then I'll do the same with my 4, and I'll hit some full 4-ounce, I'll hit some low ones, some high ones, and then I'll go back to my 58.5. Because, Danny, it's the way you play the game more likely. You don't stand there and fire without going, here's a chip shot. That's not the way we play.
Sure.
And I'll work my way through the bag. And I got to tell you, you know who I learned this from? Tiger.
Watching him?
I watched him do this at the Buick Flint. I kind of stalked him all week. I never got to play with him that week, but I was right in front of him on Thursday and Friday, and I was right behind him on Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know if I finished, being behind him on the weekend is really tough. And that means my score was a little lower. I'm not sure I finished ahead of him at the end of 72, but you can check it out and figure it out. But so that's what I'll do. And then I'll go and I'll hit some 3-woods. I'll go out through the bag, hit some 3-woods, and then go back to my short stuff and just get a sense of how the game is going to be played that day. And here's the other thing. I don't care where I hit these balls while I'm warming up. Now, I say that I won't take that to the nth degree. If I'm shanking it, I'll get a little concerned. But for the most part, I'm loosening up because I'm going to go play. And then from there, I go to the putting green. I do some long putts. I do some short putts. I'll get my wedge out and hit some little chips and pitches around the fringes and the green. Then I'll get one ball on the green, and I'll start working my routine and going through my pre-shot routine, and then I'm ready to go play. That's before a tournament or a round of golf where I'm trying to score low. That's what I do. Now, totally different concept if this is a practice day. Where is the biggest need in my game? Most of the time it was around my driver and trying to figure out how my driver was. Towards the end of my career, I actually figured out the driver. And so I was working repetitively and repeatedly, Danny, on my setup to try to my biggest challenge was trying to play from the same space every day and not tweak it a little with my hips and not have my shoulder a little this way. And that was extremely hard for me, trying to figure out where I was in space.
All right, let's go to a practice session.
Yep.
How about using the alignment sticks correctly?
That's wonderful. So here's what I would recommend with the alignment sticks. I would get a minimum of 2 and maybe 3. And you could even do 4 if you wanted to, but you could also use your club, one of the clubs you're not practicing with, or an umbrella as an alignment rod. These alignment rods are crazy inexpensive. They are not expensive. So you're going to get down. You're going to put in. You're going to get a alignment rod down on your body lines. It's going to get you parallel left of your target. And with those, you want your feet, your knees, your hips, and your shoulders stacked right on top of each other. You want them stacked right on top of each other. You don't want, what I see the most, Danny, is guys get their feet, their knees, and their hips pretty good, and their shoulders are open, and that causes slices. Okay, so get those shoulders stacked right on top of your hips, man. That's really important. With the second aiming rod, you put it by the ball, on the outside part of the ball, so it's parallel to your body alignment rod. Okay, so it's going to be on the outside part of the ball, so you're going to be hitting the ball from the inside, but it gives you the sense of a train track, right? You want this train track going. Here's my body, here's the club face, so you get all those things going in the same direction. It sounds so super easy, Danny. It's not, and it gets fouled up more than almost anything you'll see in golf. And I'll say this, and your game is taking a turn for the way better right now, and when you line up better, before you make your swing, D, it's the same way for me, and I heard the great Hall of Famer Ernie Els say on a television interview that he said, at the beginning of the week, when my alignment feels right, I usually play well every week.
Sure.
And it's just, so what it means is, when you're not off a little bit with this alignment, Danny, you don't have to make some sort of compensation in your swing to get the ball on your line. You can just swing. It sounds crazy, stupid, and superficial and simple, but it's true. And it's not easy to line up right.
How about standing too far away from the ball?
Yep.
When you're practicing.
Or too close.
Yeah.
That is a thing. And so you've got to figure out what that comfort looks like. And Danny, it's different for everybody. This is another reason why you want to get fitted, because of our body shape. Danny, I'm 6'5", and I am all legs. I got a 37-inch inseam, or I had. Maybe I'm shrinking. Probably am. Who knows? But you start thinking about my college teammate in Corey Pavin. He's 5'6". He weighed 120 pounds when I met him. 120 pounds.
It's amazing.
His inseam's like 24. So we literally have a foot difference in the length of our legs alone. So that's going to affect where you stand and where you hit the ball from. So it's a personal thing, and it's based on your body type. You get barrel-chested guys that are going to have to stand further away from the ball. Maybe they're going to be shorter, so you get tall guys that are going to be needing to stand more on top of it, because if you get too far away, you can't even stand up and swing and keep your balance. So there's a lot of different factors on how to determine where to be standing when you're addressing that ball.
And obviously, you got to keep this in mind, too. Club face isn't square towards the target at address.
100%. That's exactly why you want that outside aiming rod. And then, folks, if you're comfortable at address and your clubs are not sitting flush to the ground, meaning the toes in the air, meaning your clubs are too flat, or the heels in the air, meaning the clubs are too upright, you get them bent. It won't cost you much money at all. That's also part of the fitting, and they fit the clubs to you, not vice versa. Danny, this is the craziest thing that happens all the time, and you and I hear it all the time. Guys are out playing. One of their buddies gets a new driver, and he's just crushing it because he went and got fitted, and he goes to his buddy, you got to try this driver. And he hits one ball, and he hits it well, and he buys the exact same driver. And I'm like,
what are you doing? Yeah.
What are you doing, man? Get fitted. Take the head that you like, great. Get the shaft that you need and make it, because inevitably I hear people go, yeah, I bought the same driver Fred has over there, and it sucks, man. So I'm like, why'd you buy Fred's driver? Give it to Fred and go get a new one. I mean, but that's what happens all the time, and that's why fitting, it's not expensive. Get fitted. Get on the machines. Let them tell you. It'll spit out the information that's right for you. You'll love it.
How about you're on the range and you're working on ball position?
Yep.
Ball position's got to be key.
Absolutely, D. So this is the thing. You got your aiming rods down, right? Perfect. Start your practice session with your wedges, all right? The ball's going to be a little back of center in your stance. The hands are going to be a little forward. You got your shaft, little forward shaft lean. Perfect. Now we go to our 6-iron, our 7-iron. I want the ball dead center of your stance, meaning completely in the middle between your right leg and your left leg. I don't care if you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter. Get that thing right in the middle. And then as you go to your longer clubs, the ball just gradually moves towards the front of your stance until you get to the driver. It's the ball that we hit the furthest up into our front leg, and it gets somewhere around the instep, and there it is.
Yeah.
And each club incrementally moves just a little forward or backwards.
Now, something we don't talk about very often on the show, and I can't believe we haven't done this. It's something that's so important, but grip position, looking at your grip, evaluating your grip, and making sure you have the right grip.
It is, Danny, and it's tedious, and a lot of people hate it, but it's the connection, and here's why it's so hard to change your grips, because it is what your connection to the golf club is, and you get it on there, and it feels right, even though it might be wrong. But certain guys and certain amateurs, I would not change their grip depending on their swing, because sometimes you get a guy like Ed Fiore. We used to call him the grip because he had a grip that looked like something in a Harley Davidson. His left hand was turned way over to the right. His right hand was turned way under to the right, and he, it fit his thing. But there's a couple ways to grip the club, and it's either the overlap or the interlocking grip.
Yeah.
And it's with you want to get your top hand down the right center of the shaft if you're right-handed, down the left center of your shaft if you're left-handed, and then you want to get that V, which is like, it almost looks like a little trigger in your lower hand. You want to get that cradling the club. And that's really difficult to convey over the radio, but YouTube, folks, YouTube. Send me an email, jay@jdelsinggolf.com. I'll send you the video. I'll even make you a video if you want. But that's how important the grip is. It's hard to translate over the radio. We're not going to go much more depth like that, but you want to get that grip on the club right. It's extremely important, D, to your point. And then you talk about your grip pressure, and it has to be light. You don't want the club flying out of your hands, but you don't want to white knuckle it either. It needs, if white knuckling it is a 10 in terms of your grip pressure, and letting the club fly out of your hand is a 1, we want a 3 or a 4.
It's interesting that you bring up there's not one size fits all with a grip, and I have not really heard that. I've always heard that you got to have it this way. Your thumb's got to be here. This thumb's got to be here with the interlock and all that kind of stuff. It's not necessarily the case, is what you're telling me.
No, Danny, because look at the modern tour player. They're all playing with shut-face clubs now. They're all at the top instead of being square like we were taught. They're all shut.
Yeah.
It's fine. And look at them. They're playing
Seems
their
to work.
asses off. It's kind of working.
It works.
Yeah, look at it. Look at the money they're making. Look at the scores they're shooting. It's absolutely fine.
How long should you stay during?
Great question.
Because sometimes you swing and you develop bad habits.
Way more bad habits are created on the range than good habits. When you lose your concentration, meaning the quality of your practice is headed down, get out. And let's say, you'll say, well, Delsing, wait a minute. I was practicing poorly. I'm going to say, fine, still get out, go hit some putts, come back and make a plan for the next 15 minutes. And then when you get through that plan, walk away. You're going to be hitting it better. You're going to be accomplishing something, and you're going to feel so much better walking off the driving range, Danny, feeling like you accomplished something. You set up a goal, hit the goal, walk away. My dear buddy Pearlie, I said to him, he called me a while back and
Former
said,
teammate, longtime caddy.
Yeah, he did the show with me for the first couple of years. Love the man to death. He said to me, I'm like, how's your golf game? He goes, it's weird. I go out to the driving range and I'll hit my first 20, 30 minutes. Just fantastic. But an hour later, and I'm like, hour later? What? Why are you not leaving after 30 minutes? Go play.
Yeah.
It's like, I got a gun. Let's go shoot something. Let's go play. This is fun. And he's like, I never thought of it that way. I said, it's like you got it, then you stick around long enough to start screwing it up so you have something to fix. And he's like, You're absolutely right. So if it's good, get off of there and go play, man. Go play or go chip and pitch and putt, because that's where it's at anyway. And then come back and have another hitting session if you want.
Well, I've heard you say this a million times now, but if you could do it over, you'd be around the chipping area. You'd be doing that. You'd wear that out. You'd be wearing out the greens in terms of your putting. So percentage-wise, what do you think you would do if you could do it over?
80-20.
Would it really be that much?
80-20. My hitting game, I was streaky as hell with the hitting game, Danny, but when I was on, I could roll with it. I could hit any shot I wanted. And then if I could have just had, when those weeks happened, that my putting would have been more solid, my short game would have been more solid and more consistent, I would have won tournaments for sure, and I would have weighed a hell of a lot more money. And it would have been easier on my confidence. Breaking down my swings and changing my swing the 2 times like I did, it was tough, and it beat the hell out of my body.
So as we wrap this up then, how long do you stay then on the range and pounding golf balls?
Listen, everybody's personality works differently. Some guys can lock in and stay extremely focused for longer periods of time. But I'm going to tell people 15 to 30 minutes, accomplish your goal, feel good about it, walk away, go do something else. If you feel inclined to have another session, then just go. There's plenty of other areas in your game, Danny, that you have to work on. Go work on your bunker game. Go work on something else, and then come back and have another session. But have a plan. Put it down. Get your aiming rods down. Work on those fundamentals, and walk away feeling good about your game.
That's Jay. I'm Dan. The mailbag is coming up next. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
We're heading into the clubhouse, and it's time to go into the mailbag. Tips from a PGA Tour player are coming up. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's biggest names: Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Langer, Ernie Els, and more will return September 3rd through the 8th at Norwood Hills. All tournament proceeds go to area charities serving North St. Louis County youth and families. Sponsorship opportunities, Pro-Am foursomes, and more information available for you at AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with Elevate Golf. At Elevate Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at Elevate Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevategolf.com. That's ELV, the number 8, golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, and it's because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and easy, and their customer service is second to none. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester in Kirkwood, you'll be a customer for life because they will treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Clubhouse, and it's time to go into the mailbag. Tips from a PGA Tour player are coming up. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Heading down the stretch on Golf with Jay Delsing, and we head into the mailbag. And the mailbag, you can find us at jay@jdelsinggolf.com. That's jay@jdelsinggolf.com. Every week we get a lot of questions for Jay, and it's always fun to have a chance to answer these as we head down the stretch on Golf with Jay Delsing. And we go to Webster Groves, and this is Mike. And Mike has a question about his handicap in terms of getting the right set of clubs to match his handicap. And I know this is something you wanted to jump into.
Absolutely. I love it, Mike. Thanks for reaching out. And folks, here's the deal. And this is why we can tie this in indirectly to getting fitted. But depending on your handicap, and Mike said he's a high handicap, Mike doesn't need to have a 3 or a 4 iron and maybe quite possibly even a 5 iron anywhere near him. He might have his lowest iron be a 6 iron. And Mike, I recommend checking this out and then start looking into, obviously you have a driver and you have your 3 wood. Start looking into 5 woods. Start looking into 7, 8 woods, even 9 woods, and exploring hybrids because, Mike, they make it so easy to get the ball up in the air. And typically speaking, I don't know Mike, I've never seen Mike play, but typically speaking, the higher handicap struggles, Danny, to get the ball up in the air when he starts getting into his longer clubs, okay? And so here's the other thing that's crucially important, that you go to Pro-Am Golf, or you go check Adam out at Family Golf and Learning Centers. They're going to help you get the right set mix. And what I mean by that is they're going to say to you, you know what, Mike, you don't need a 5 iron. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get your set all rocked up, meaning we're going to have your 6-iron, 7-iron, everything. All those gaps are going to be consistent all the way to your 60-degree wedge. And then we're going to back from your driver into the rest of the set. So let's say your driver goes 200 yards. Now you're going to have a 3-wood that goes 190, and we're going to fill in all of your gaps so that when you get a certain distance, you know exactly where to go. And it's not a guesswork, and you're also not going to go, I don't want you to play around a club in your bag that you don't like. It's crazy. We want to have every club fit for you, fit for your body, fit for your golf game, and that's what this will do, and it will fill in those distance gaps. So you're not going to go, oh yeah, 172 yards. I don't have a club for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Danny, that happens all the time where people are like, I hate my 4-iron. I'm not hitting it. Well, get it out of there.
Yeah.
Get it out of there, and let's get you a 5-wood or a 7-wood or a 6-wood. And it's there. The pros do it on the tour. You see these utility woods coming from out of the woodwork when you get playing in majors because they're so versatile. I mean, you can hit them out of rough. You can hit them out of fairway. You could chip with them around the greens. They're crazy versatile.
So low handicaps, then what would you advise? Just the direct opposite, or where are you going with this?
So the lower handicap, I'm going to give them a little more leeway, Danny, with the lower set of their irons. So you want to have a 5-iron, no problem. You want to have a 4, questionable, depending on how low your handicap is, because we'll set you up with some hybrids and some other your distances for the lower handicap, Danny, are more than likely going to be a longer, wider variety, right? Meaning your driver's more than likely going to go more than 200 yards, where a guy that's a 25 handicap might only be able to hit his driver 200 yards. So we're going to start at 250 on that end. And then there's a lot more gaps to fill in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the way I want to do it. But you're still going to have your 60 on the short end, or your 58, whatever the most lofted wedge is, and then we're going to fill those in right on down the line, and we're going to get your set graduated to fit you. And then once you get to that, where it all changes, D, is we just depends on depending on your skill level and your ball flight will determine maybe you're a scratch golfer, but you don't have a high ball flight with your longer stuff. We're going to keep you at a 5-iron, and then we're going to fix you up with a series of hybrids, and then we're going to start you with a 6-wood, and then go into a 4-wood, and you don't need a 3. There's ways to figure that out, but it'll all be based upon the distances that match up with your game, and they're all different.
And it sounds like you're trying to find clubs that are just forgiving for the high handicapper.
Easier for everybody.
Yep.
I mean, D, you know what it was like when I went to my new set of TaylorMades.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Danny, man, I hit that thing on the toe, and that sucker still went, 200 yards. Please. Folks, use the tech. I'm not trying to spend your money. Trust me, I'm not trying to spend your money, but use the tech to your advantage. They're using doggone AI now to build golf clubs.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy, and it's beneficial. So don't be like I was when I was playing in a dinosaur, and then my daughters called me a fossil. Go try the tech. It's worth it, man. And there's a lot of secondary markets out there too, folks. You don't have to go to the top names and the top brands and spend top dollar for this stuff. There's gently used stuff all over the place. And you need to know where? Jay at jdelsinggolf.com, or just go to jdelsinggolf.com and hit me up. I'll help you.
And that's where Tim and O'Fallon found us, at Jay at jdelsinggolf.com. He writes in, Jay, what are the best training aids that are out there to help a golfer?
Okay, so my favorite training aid, and this is the favorite training aid of the PGA Tour players, the Champions Tour, Korn Ferry, and the LPGA Tour players, and it is Orange Whip, 100%. I got an Orange Whip in my bag. You've seen it there every single time I play.
So describe it. What is the Orange Whip?
So the Orange Whip it's almost like, there's an orange ball on the end of a very whippy shaft, and it's you can buy them to match the length of the clubs in your bag. And what it does, Danny, when you swing it properly, and it shows you how to do that, what it does is it helps load the shaft for you all by itself. You don't have to do it, and then it gets your body to move to support it. You almost can't help but move and get your body to move in the correct sequences with the Orange Whip. You almost can't help but do it. The Orange Whip is cool too. It's made in the USA, and it's also patented. So don't go buying the knockoffs, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they're not the same. They look the same. The ball's a little different color because they can't copy the patent, but there's a counterbalancing in there. The Jim Hackenberg that created this, Jim's a good player. He played college golf, and he knows what he's doing, and he's created this. And our buddy Stan Utley has worked in collaboration with Jim for Orange Whip short game stuff.
Right.
Orange Whip. So go down to orangewhipgolf.com. Check all this stuff out. Listen. It will help your game. You will not go to a tour event and not see an Orange Whip in somebody's bag. The irony is, D, they were made for the beginner golfer because they help load that shaft up correctly and easily. And people ask me, you hear it all the time, how can I hit it further? Get an Orange Whip in your hands and figure out how to load that shaft, man.
I see you use that all the time, and it goes right before you get on the range and you start popping some balls and doing what we talked about earlier. But you said it really helps, it helps in terms of loosening you up too.
Oh, absolutely. This old body, good gravy, man. Look at this body. I need all the help I could get. A little oil. I need anything I can get. But I will tell you, and you were saying this too, because I know you got a bum shoulder from playing shortstop and probably getting run over back in the day trying to make the turn.
Right.
That this heat helps a lot, and I really appreciate the heat when it comes to trying to loosen my body up, because I'm like, it doesn't necessarily feel that good, but it feels way better than when it's about 40 degrees out and I'm throwing my clubs in the trunk somewhere because it's too cold to play.
Where would I find Orange Whips? Said that. Where would I find them?
orangewhipgolf.com, and they're absolutely fantastic. Or just reach out to me, jay@jdelsinggolf.com or jdelsinggolf.com, and I'll hook you up with those guys. They're fantastic.
Jay, as always, it's been a fun show, and our thanks to Andy North. I love doing this show with you, man. It's always fun.
I love talking. I love talking golf. I love getting excited about this. It is absolutely fantastic.
How do we end the show?
Hit it straight, St. Louis. Darty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Darty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Darty Business Solutions.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hi, I'm Adam Betts, PGA professional and owner at Family Golf and Learning Center. We welcome golfers of all ages and abilities, from the junior golfer to the experienced players. From our indoor TrackMan simulators, large short game area, grass tees, and driving range bays, to our golf instruction, leagues, clinics, and camps, we connect you with every resource to reach your golfing goals. We look forward to helping you improve your golf game at Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf. Visit us at familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.